Welcome to the Bearcats Den with President Taylor. I'm Ivy Taylor, your host and president of Russ College. For today's show, we have a guest who is totally familiar with the studio and a new member of the Bearcat family, Marcus Doc Holliday, who is our Director of Broadcast Operations here at RCTV2. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So you are on week 2?
Week two. I am on week 2. All praises to the Most High. Made it through the first week, so I'm into Tuesday of this week. So we'll see how the rest of the week goes. So yeah.
Well, welcome. We were very excited to have the opportunity to welcome you to our team here at Russ College and at RCTV2. I know that you have more than 20 years of broadcast experience. You're a graduate of University of Memphis, and you did a stint in the NFL as well, so very interesting life journey. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your early years?
Oh yeah, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm the oldest of 4 that my dad had. And my mom died in '85 when I was 11. So my dad has been married 2 more times since then. So now I'm the oldest of 8. As you said, went to Fairleigh High School. It was Memphis State at the time. Chose to go to Memphis State to play football. Chose Memphis State over Ole Miss, Tennessee, some of them other trash schools. Sorry, Ole Miss Rebels fans that's listening and stuff. So did that. Played with the St. Louis Rams a couple of years. Played in the CFL a couple of years, and after that came back, went back to school to get my degree at the University of Memphis in '98. And after that, that's when I started in the TV. That's why I was saying I was a production assistant. Running all these in-studio cameras, doing audio board, teleprompter, just everything. And as you and I talked about, went from making, $50,000, $60,000 a month playing football to $7 an hour, 20 hours a week, broke, having to take care of wife and kids. So from there, my television career has, just propelled, and I, constantly, try to put myself in position to be successful. So learning every aspect of a TV station operation, except for being an engineer, because I wish I did, but and that has brought me here, and I'm glad to be here.
So what made you interested in following that path instead of, a lot of people who've been professional athletes, like to go into coaching or something related to still being in sports? What made you interested in broadcast operations?
Well, to me, it's being a coach was an easy route. I mean, I've been offered plenty of coaching things, and I always wanted to, when I went back to school, I always knew if you got into television, there is no ceiling on how much you make. If somebody want to pay you $100,000 a year, it's good. If they want to pay you $15 million a year, because people make $15 million if they want to pay you $30. It's entertainment. So I always wanted there where there was no ceiling on how much I can make, and I always wanted to kind of stay close to sports. So I can be paid, to talk about sports on television. But, and a lot of people used to, they saw me as the sports director, on TV doing sports, going all them games, which is a blessing, but they didn't really know the process of everything I had to do to get there, So, because it's always a process. They just see, they think the finished product, but that just was always a goal of mine. It's just something, I could coach, but, I knew at some point I was going to evolve past wanting to watch sports all the time, and I did, and I have. So, TV has been that avenue, and this is a blessing because it allows me to utilize my expertise and also teach young people, but also learn more of the engineering part of it. So I'm excited about all of this.
Well, let's talk a little more about the process aspect, and you alluded to the difficulty in your journey with leaving the NFL and then deciding to go back to school. You didn't necessarily have to do that. What was the drive in you where you wanted to get that degree?
Well, when I was younger, my mom always, talked about how smart, her baby was, how old he was. So when she passed away, I wasn't thinking about a degree then, but once I got into school and got those football scholarship, and I got started, and the thing about it is, it's all about who you group yourself with, because I played, on the football team and even athletes. You have groups. You have a group of players, they trying to get their degree, but they still want to hang out a little bit. But you have some that all they want to do is hang out. They don't care anything about school. You have some who they only thinking about going to the NFL. They don't care about nothing else. So you have those 3. And luckily, I was around a group of guys who they hung out, but they wanted to get their degree. So all my close-knit friends on the football team, they were older than me. So they got their degree. So that pushed me even more to say, okay, I want to go back and get my degree. So that was always a motivating factor for me. And you don't want to go to school and play football and give up, all that time and getting hurt and don't have anything to show for
Yes,
it. So,
yes.
And if I ain't have no degree, I wouldn't have this job. So I'm glad God led me that way.
Well, I hope a lot of student athletes are listening to that, that, you know, just to underscore that the purpose of being in school is to get the degree, though it certainly is wonderful to be able to pursue your passion to, you know, as it relates to a sport. So when you finished the degree, you did go into working in news stations as did you only work in sports?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't even get to be in the sports department for a long time.
Okay.
It's just for the fact when I came back from Canada and moved back home to finish up my degree. And I tell people all the time, you have to be, have to be tough. You have to be a grown man when I'm talking to young men, because I came back from Canada broke. My car was broken down. I was living in Whitehaven. If people don't know Memphis, Whitehaven from the University of Memphis is like a 25-minute drive. So I had to come back this football star. I had kids to take care of, so I was working that, but I was having to catch the bus, from Whitehaven. I had never caught the bus before. It's humbling. I'm a football star. I'm walking to the bus stop, getting these transfers, doing all of that. So, and I said, Fox 13 was right around, right across the street from the university. I said, let me go in there and see if they got any jobs. So I was sitting in there. They had a production assistant job. Like I said, it was $7 an hour, 20 hours a week. I said, okay, I just need to get my foot in the door, because I know I want to be a sports anchor, sports director, at a TV station in my hometown. So it just started from there. And, I went from, I did that, and used to leave there and go to FedEx, and then do it all, then go to class, all this while catching the bus, then leaving FedEx sometimes, having to walk home at 3 or 4 in the morning. So, it's, everybody has a testimony. God puts everybody through things so you can have a testimony. So when he takes you somewhere, you got to tell people how you get there, and so they can be inspired.
And what did you learn from that time?
Just hard work and perseverance, and I've learned so much really in the last 15 years, because my ego ran my life for a bunch of my life. I'm the football star. You can't tell me anything. The world revolves around me. I do what I want to do. And even though I made it to the NFL, there was really no happiness in there. You got the money, you got all that, and you young, and you really don't know how to, accept it or to deal with it. But when I finally after numerous conversations with God and messing up and get, him smacking me around, which discipline is good. Somebody love you when they discipline you. And I finally said, you know what, God, I'm gonna take my ego out of everything. I'm done with the ego. So the ego say something, I'm gonna say, man, shut up. Because the ego tells you how your life's supposed to go, what's supposed to happen, what you're supposed to have, you're supposed to be doing this, and the ego don't know anything. So when I told God, you know what, God, I'm taking my ego out of everything. I'm gonna let you roll this thing. Even though you rolling anyway, I'm gonna accept that you controlling this. So when I did that, my life just opened up.
Wonderful, wonderful testimony. So what was it like when you did attain that goal of being a sports director?
It was great, leading. I took a sports department that everybody knows in Memphis. It was the last place sports department. To when I left, when I decided to leave, it was the #1 sports department, in Memphis. And I always took all of my jobs because I know they're a blessing. That, when the Most High blesses us with something, you don't look at what somebody else doing or what somebody else got. He got there for you. So if he's like, okay, I'm giving you this blessing, now it's on you. So I knew once I got it, me being a black man, especially in media, being sports, those jobs are hard to come by. But I've always known I got to work. Seriously, that's a cliche, but it's the truth. I got to work 1,000 times harder than everybody else. So when I got it, I just grabbed hold to it. I always made sure I was prepared, because I heard Les Brown say something a long time ago. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity to be prepared. So anytime they came with something, oh yeah, I got that. I'm ready. I'm ready to roll on it. So I was the one that get to work at 9 in the morning, even though my shift didn't start until 2, and end at 11, and I would leave at 11:30. So I just learned hard work and perseverance and trusting God's process, because you don't know what His process is for you, but He does, and it's going to be good.
Well, one of the things I want to ask you, this is getting into maybe controversial waters, but hey, you seem like you'd be up to answering. Really, given your experience of being both behind the scenes, kind of as a broadcaster, and then also out on the field, what do you make of the current environment and the incredible shift where when I watched the Super Bowl on Sunday, I actually saw commercials promoting social justice and the need to end systemic racism? What do you make of all that as a former player and a broadcaster?
Well, it's about time, man. I love it. I mean, and I'm a true Bible reader. I got a backpack full of Bible notes, and it's prophecy. That's all I'm saying. It's prophesied. It's in there. If you read it, you know what you're reading. You know it's prophesied. So I'm glad to see that. You know, the country is finally, you know, kind of recognizing and noticing what we've been going through and what we're still going through. And not only that, because I think they've known, but now trying to address it and trying to put some energy in it. I'm glad of that. But at the same time, when I see that, I still give God all the praise and all the glory because he's the one that's causing that to happen. So I'm glad to see all of that happening. And it's like, okay, we got to address how we've been treating these people who have done so much for this country, and this country is standing and has a lot of things because of these people. So I'm just glad to see it.
From my perspective, I feel glad to see it. I also just question how long this moment is going to last, though, because from the perspective of, you know, sports and sports commenting and all that, I mean, that is a business.
Yeah.
And so I just think about the corporate side and what type of calculations are being made in the boardrooms of the NFL or the TV stations.
Oh, it is. It's definitely a business move. I know what they're doing, but you know, God works like that. As long as He's making you draw some attention to it, regardless of what your plans are, His plans are going to supersede anything. So you all can address it. And I don't think it's necessarily genuine. I know it's not necessarily genuine, but we have so much power and so much spending power. We got to try to appease us some kind of way. So let's say something. But I'm one of those, don't just show me. I mean, show me. Don't just say it and talk about it. Put something in motion. Let us see it.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. Well, when we come back from a break, I'm looking forward to chatting with you about your visions and plans for RCTV2. We'll be right back after a short break. Please enjoy this selection by the world famous Russ College a cappella choir under the direction of Dr. Arlandra Harvey. Welcome back to the Bearcats Den. I'm Ivy Taylor, and my guest today is Marcus Doc Holliday, our new Director of Broadcast Operations at RCTV2. Well, I wanted to ask how you got that nickname Doc.
Good question. I hear it a lot. When I was younger, my favorite cousin, his name was Andre Doc Holliday, and he was a good football player. And I was, I was like 11 or 12, and I used to watch him all the time. And he got his picture in the paper one day, and I was like, oh man, you got your picture in the paper. So he left and went to the Marines, and when he left for the Marines, he left me his Doc Holliday jacket and hat and shirts. So I started wearing them, even though they was a little big. I started wearing them, and when I got good in football, they just started calling me Doc on the mics. So I was like, okay, and it just stuck from there.
Okay, cool. It's a little awkward on a college campus because there's a lot of docs around here.
I tell them, don't call me Doctor. I tell them I'm not a doctor. I ain't do that. Doc. You put a K on the end of it if you need to.
So tell me, Doc, why you were open to this opportunity and what you'd like to do here at Rust.
Well, it was a blessing and an assignment from God, to tell you the truth. I'm one of those, like I told God, I trust your process. So whatever you bring to me, I got to do it. So I wasn't, and I'll be honest, I left 24. I've been good. I got a podcast. I got my own business. So I was, I had gotten kind of comfortable. So when I got an email about this job, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, I hear you, God. I said, okay, yeah, let me apply. I hear you, because when Dr. Moyo actually asked me to come speak in October, I came down here and I saw the studio, and I was impressed then, but I never thought, that opportunity may present itself that I may end up back down here. But that was God just kind of priming me and prepping me, So when it came, I was like, okay, all right, yeah, let me apply. Then I applied, and then we had the interview, and I was like, okay. Then I came down here again. I was like. Then I met you, then I met everybody else, and I talked to you and some of the things that you're doing and trying to do and you hope to do. And I looked at this TV station, and y'all had your own channel. It's like, man, so much can be done on that channel. It's the first thing. I mean, it's the huge promotional opportunity for the college. If somebody rolling through, or student rolling through, or they in town, they click on channel 2 and they don't know anything about Rust. First thing they see, they're like, oh, okay, Rust has it. This is what they're doing on campus. So, and it's really just, it's really just obeying God, because I wouldn't have been in this position if He didn't want me here. And it's one of those, and I tell people, man, don't look at somebody else's life, what God does for them. Yeah. And you may get mad at somebody else's blessings when not understanding that you got blessings as well. But if you mad at somebody God blessing, who you really mad at? Oh, you mad at God. You ain't mad at me. So I'm just, just coming down here and seeing, your vision and what you are doing. And it's some wonderful students here, just talking to them. So me wanting to pour back into them.
Well, tell us about your interactions with students just over the last week.
You know what? They've been great. They've been engaging. They've been respectful. A lot of them I've seen here over here in the TV station wanting to learn, coming to, taking the initiative, coming to introduce themselves. And that's really what I'm looking forward to. Let me pour into not only the students that may be coming over here into the TV station, but even the ones on campus. Let me pour into them, because I was once them. And they're gonna be me one day. Hopefully, excel anything that I am. So just seeing them, I'm just extremely impressed with them. And anytime you spend any time in Mississippi, it's just good people in Mississippi. My dad from Mississippi, his whole family's from Como, Mississippi. So Mississippi people just cool. They're just good. So even you have the students who are not from Mississippi, but they're living in Mississippi now. Right. They've just been great. Yes.
Well, let me ask you. Think back to when you were initially a student before you played football, and then the time afterwards you had a little more maturity when you went back to school. When you reflect on your experiences as a student, what is it that you, particularly in this area, broadcast, mass communications, what is it that you think the students at Rust today that are in the mass comm program need to know in order to best prepare for a future in this field?
First of all, this sounds like a cliche, but believe in yourself and learn everything you can to learn. Learn everything. say you want to be on, you want to be on TV in front of the camera, but please learn how to operate the camera, learn how to edit, learn how to produce, learn how to time, learn how to do all of that. Take some diction classes, because you got to be able to speak. See, they don't want to tell me to take diction classes. I had to take diction classes on my own. And even when I was working at the TV station, I used to have a thick sheet like this. I used to go through, baby buggy, 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 doing diction exercises. So I would tell them now, and not only learn how all of this, learn, how to run a TV station. Want to be, want to have some ownership. So I would tell them and be focused and listen to people like yourself and all the other adults on campus, because we can look into the past, y'all can't look into the future. So I can see what route you going, what route you gonna go, depending on what you're doing. So just listen, and my whole thing is learn everything that you can learn. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ain't no stupid question, because if you have that on your mind, somebody else thinking the same thing. So but it's believe in yourself, persevere, and understand that tough times are gonna come, but they're really not tough times. It's just God, strengthening you. It's almost like when when you lifting weights. If I can bench press 225, the only way for me to get stronger, I got to put 250 on it. I ain't gonna be able to do 250 at first, but it's gonna build that muscle up. So that's all about character and emotion and spirituality and mentality. So when I see the kids, I try to, the young people, I like to call them young royals, because that's what they are. I like to pour into them and just tell them, like, study. Don't take this for granted, because life is pretty easy right now. So you don't know that, so I tell them that.
Yeah, the college years for many are can be a wonderful time, because they're enjoying the benefits of being an adult without necessarily all the responsibilities. Though here at Rusk College, we do have a number of students who are really trying to help their families. We've all seen the disparate impact of this pandemic. Those are the types of stories that I hope we can share through the station. What are you thinking as far as how we can use this tool beyond promoting Rust? What else are you thinking about?
I mean, there's all kinds of, now you got this TV show, and my vision is to you have some mass communication students that put a camera in their hand and show them and tell them how to put a story together and package it. You have this channel that goes 24 hours a day. So it don't have to be special program, and it can just be inserted and show life on Russ, what you got going on, how you got here. Tell me the life of a student. Tell me some of the challenges you have. Let us hear from you. And so I have all kinds of ideas, because there's so many different things you can do. So that's just some of my vision and some of my plan, but it's pretty much wide open. There's so many different things you can do, but Rusk College is, it's about the students. So let the students tell us about them, and let's tell, your story, because everybody has a story.
Well, maybe we should set up some forums to talk with the students about, how they'd like to engage, because you're right, it really is about the students, and we're working to be a student-centered campus here. It is an exciting time with the transitions that we have going on here at the campus, and so I know that you're going to do your best to bring a lot of those things to fruition as far as the changes that we're looking to make. But while I know you're going to work hard, I don't want you to get burnt out. So tell us, what do you like to do for fun?
I read a lot, honestly.
Okay.
I read a lot. I've had so much fun, and so much vain fun, nonsense fun, hanging out, being a football star, being the bros, still be the bros, make us our five. But I've done so much of that. It's like, okay, now I have to, I gotta feed my mind, man. It's so much. So I read a lot. I research a lot.
So tell me what you're reading right now.
The Bible again.
Okay.
Be honest with you, and I have several books on my desk. Destruction of the Black Civilization. I got that. I got the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's something else. It's a lot. No, it's really books centered around that, and I also have African American, indigenous people. I have books like that goes beyond what we've been probably taught. Because there's always something else. They got something that, I work in TV, it's something that they show you, then it's the truth.
Yes.
You have to go look it out for yourself. They're just not going to give it to you. So.
Well, I love to read as well, and I made a commitment this year that I was going to read at least a book a month. because, you know, I was working on a doctorate, and so I didn't really have time to read for pleasure.
Yeah.
But I've been keeping a log of books that I read. In 2018, I read about 20 books.
Wow.
But then in 2019 and 2020, each of those years, I only read about 10. So I said, well, this year I'm going to do at least 12. I started out the year by reading Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. Have you heard of it?
About it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. It was a little bit depressing because the whole premise of the book is that the United States has systemic oppression similar to the Indian caste system or the Nazis, where Jews were on the bottom, and that in the United States, blacks are on the bottom. We're the bottom caste. So it was very sobering, you know, seeing the comparisons between Nazi Germany and the United States. So when I finished that, I needed something lighthearted. So I read this really trashy book by Anna Quinlan. It was really dumb, but, you know, it was a change of pace.
Yeah.
And now I started reading a biography about the gentleman who integrated Ole Miss. James Meredith.
James Meredith.
So, and that's taken me back, giving me some insight on Mississippi, and as a new person moving here, that's always really interesting. I hope that you can encourage the students to read for pleasure as well, and read for edification.
I mean, I hope they will. I mean, get out of the, you know, watch RCTV,
yes.
but don't watch TV all the time. You know, get out of the social media and understand it's a reason why they want you on your phone. They distracting you. You know, feed your mind. And when you're reading, you know, you're getting those neurons firing. If you don't fire those neurons, those synapses, they'll shut down. You know, so, you know, feed your mind. Don't just feed it with a bunch of junk food.
Yes, and that is a great note to end on. I know that you will be feeding the minds of the students with the content that you'll create here. And I just want to tell you, welcome. We're very excited to have you here.
All praises to the Most High. Glad to be here.
Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll catch you next time.